The audience cares about the arts, and we would like to give them some ideas for your calls to action for what you think that that people ought to do or we should do as a society in order to move forward and get ourselves back on track when we can. Peter, might I ask you to start with your calls to action?
Sure. Well, my call to action is to consider supporting your local smaller opera companies of quality that are producing interesting new work. Where I am, Long Beach Opera just did a couple of years ago, did the world premiere of the Central Park Five by Anthony Davis, and did the world premiere of a work called Fallujah. And you can figure out what both of those pieces are about and how important they are. And has been involved in a lot of work. And that is the kind of place which is really thinking outside the box. Urban Arias in DC is another one. American Opera Projects is one which is for 25 years has been producing new works. These are places which are the way new creativity is engendered and can flourish. I think it's great if you want to support the Met. They are putting out pretty much the same thing they always put out. It's not changing very much, and it's great, but it is what it is. And in a weird way, they kind of don't need us. These other places do. I mean, I hate to say it that bluntly, but that's why I would support the McCarter over some other places, because if they need you, they need you. Yes,
Okay.
West Edge Opera. Thank you very much. I had mentioned them too. And
Charlene,
Beth Morrison Group.
your calls to action.
Yes, I'm going to repeat the same thing in a way.
We all are.
Yeah, I urge you, wherever you live, to financially support your local arts organizations. Here in Greensboro, there are many, but three come to mind. Actually, I have four. One was Arts Greensboro, and then the scholarship program that the Music Academy of North Carolina sponsors, and then the Eastern Music Festival, which is also wonderful, and of course, Greensboro Opera, which is a small opera company that's trying to do the right thing. And I wanted to add one more, the Community Theater of Greensboro, which I will type in their thing. And then the final thing I want to say is I urge opera boards. I don't know that anyone here is on an opera board, but we've talked about this a lot at Greensboro Opera, and that is that we must have people who are diverse on our opera boards, because that's how things will change. We have to have representation, and not token representation, but substantive representation on the opera boards, so that we can build audiences that look like all of us.
Great. Jerome.
Well, in addition to, seconding what's been said about supporting your local arts, your local art organizations, your local art venues, and particularly the smaller ones, because the precarity that preceded the pandemic and through this period hits them harder. I also want to second Emily's mention of the Actors Fund, which has been for a long time doing, being so supportive of performers, not only actors. By far, it's as one example, they actually administered the relief fund that my union, local 802 of American Federation of Musicians, put out there. That was actually administered by the Actors Fund, and so and they do this sort of thing for for other organizations in our sector. So, props to them. Please support them. And coming from a little bit of a side angle, please, I encourage people to just inform themselves about what is going on in the art world. And there are a lot of outlets of information. One that I particularly like their take on things is an online journal called Arts Journal. which covers music and dance and theater. They forward articles from around the country and around the world, and they've got a great set of bloggers in all the arts, is across genres, and it's just a good place to get a bunch of information about everything from classical music to jazz, to small theaters to large, to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And finally, Emily.
What I did want to just emphasize was this idea of an Arts New Deal, and also to talk to representatives that you have, local, state, and federal, that we need a secretary of the Department of the Arts. We need a Department of the Arts. We need to really be supported as the important economic sector that we are, but also we need to be supported, the arts workers, because what we have to give to the country is so crucial, especially at this moment in time. I had a wonderful dear friend, a playwright who died way too young, who said, if you want to go to the headlines, turn on the news, but if you want to hear the truth, go to the theater. And I hold that close to my heart because I think it's true. And since we are in a post-truth society right now, and we're seeing the horrors of us not knowing our history and who we are as a nation, this is a time when what we have to give as artists is so crucial to our recovery, and to affect change that will save us, quite frankly, because we are facing, I think, an existential moment. So